Morning, guys. Good morning. Hi, Libby. How are you this morning? See you hopping on. I'm a little bit early, but welcome. Can you hear me okay? As you hop on, say good morning, please. I'm trying out a new mic system since my other one just was fading out on me towards the end of the video. So hopefully y'all can hear this. We're going to give it just a few minutes. We're supposed to be live at 11. I'm a little bit early. We're going to be doing another beach cottage. Just a little something fun to spring off our summer, and then Thursday I'll focus on something for Father's Day, and I've got something in mind for that already. Morning, Sherry. Can you hear me okay? I'm trying out a new mic, and I just want to make sure that it's working. Hello, hello. It's showing all signs are looking good on my end. I just want to make sure that it's working on y'all's end. Can everybody hear me? Good morning, Tanya. Can everybody hear me okay? Can you give me some hearts if you can hear me? You can hear me good. Okay. Great. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, I wanted to do another little beach cottage, just something maybe a little bit that incorporates some of the things that we've done before. I did some playing around yesterday and did one in my sketchbook, and it's not going to be just like this because this got to be a little bit out of control. All of this did, but I have some ideas on how I want to handle this. But I wanted to pull in some of these colors from the beach cottage onto some florals kind of stuff here. But this is kind of what we'll be doing, something similar to that. Hey, Sandy, good morning. Awesome, I'm glad. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started here. I've got everything drawn out, and I've just got a squirrel hair brush, and I'm going to pre-wet my background. I could go with a little bit of a bigger brush here. I'll go with a larger one. This one still has some sizing on it. So let me get that off. Normally you want to wash this off, not in your water. So do as I say and not as I do, because you don't want the sizing in your paints. But we'll just call this what it is. I'm just going to go ahead and pre-wet. Getting yourself a good wash brush will make this process much easier, and it'll make it look a lot smoother than using a small brush to try to accomplish this. What will generally happen is you'll start seeing very streaky skies because your water that you started with, your area that you started with, is going to start drying before the area that you end with, because it takes so long to get it wet. And so, all right, and once you've put that in, you don't want to put this into your paints because it's a very thirsty brush and it'll pick up way, way too much paint. So just go with your standard size brushes, probably about a size 8. This one's a little bit small, but we're gonna work with it. And I've got mine upside down here. I'm going to start with a lighter color at the bottom and just hit up that horizon line right up next to my cottage here. Just get right in there on that horizon line, and it'll do what it wants to do. You can elevate that a little bit and let it start running. That's the wonderful part about having wet on wet, is that you can elevate and let that color run into the other colors. So we're just going to kind of do a very I've got my sides taped, so, and I'm not using a good quality paper today. I'm using, I don't know where I got this paper from, actually. I really don't, because I rarely use papers that I know aren't 100% cotton. I don't know if this is a paper from Michael's or where I got this paper from, but it was the right size. So, and you just want to blend that up and down into the color, the previous color. Okay. Use my, and because this isn't 100% cotton, it's gonna dry quicker, and it's gonna give me a streakier sky. If this was a cotton paper, it wouldn't do that. There's so many benefits to using good quality paper. Okay, I'm gonna go into some darker blue here. Up at the sky, your sky wants to be darker up at the top. And then I'm just gonna be careful about going back into drying areas, because it can cause backwashes and blooms and just a mess. So, and then I'm going to take, and I'm actually going to swirl it, because this blue here isn't running as well as I'd hoped it would. I just want to soften it off a little bit there. All right. I'm going to take some paper towel, and I'm going to pull out some of this color at the top here. And if this was darker, it would show more. I'm going to and then we'll just so we've got that, and we're going to just take some softer gray here, and I'm just going to tap it down beneath some of these clouds. Let's see, I'm going to use a little bit of a pink and gray. And it gives me almost, I'm using Payne's gray and like a pinky red color. So, and then I'm just going to make sure that I don't have terribly hard lines in these clouds. You can, there are usually some hard lines in clouds, but I'm going to leave mine a little bit on the soft side. And if it gets a little bit much, you can always go back in and redo them. I'm going to use a little bit of blue-gray right here, because I want these to be two separate clouds. All right, we'll leave the clouds alone. And I'm actually going to take, this is my flathead brush. I'm going to go in and make sure I'm pushing into these corners here. I'm going to, where my color ran and got concentrated, I'm going to pull some of that up a little bit so that it's not so. Use it. Make sure you get up next to your house. You shouldn't have to go back into your paint because you're picking it up. All right. A good flat brush will help you a lot. So go ahead and clean off your tape if you tape yours down, especially in the wet on wet. And that way it won't back run into your sky and cause those areas that I was talking about earlier with blooms. Let's dry this off. Good morning, Linda. Hi, Teresa. Good to see you. Morning, Pam. Hi, Dodie. Guys, I'd appreciate it if y'all would say good morning and contribute to our conversation as you watch me paint for you. And we can play more with our little clouds later on. I'm not going to spend any more time on them because this paper is just not, I don't want to overwork this paper because of how it is. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pull in some of my pink. Actually, I'm going to just make sure I've got a good amount of pink ready. I'm going to put down, which is different than what my practice one was that I showed you guys. I'm going to go ahead and put down some yellow, deep, cad yellow deep. And I'm going to put that here. Actually, that's a lot. Just put a light coat. And I'm doing this because this side is in shadow, this side is not. But it's on the beach and you got a nice sunny day ahead or above, and we need to show that we've got some sun in our area. Okay. Trying to get this edge here. And you can certainly do this side as well. This side's going to be more in shadow later, but it's still going to get reflective sun. Especially when there's sand. Okay. Okay, I'm going to take and use some Payne's Gray up here on the top. And just real quickly fill this in, being careful not to go into any wet areas like the yellow. I'm going to go ahead and very carefully put it in here. Try not to let that run. And here. Just a very light wash, and this will soften considerably. Let's dry it. We got a pretty sunny day here in eastern North Carolina. I'm going to take a small detail brush here. This is a 3/0. And I'm going to take some of my sepia, which is like a dark brown. And I'm going to go along right here. And I'm just barely adding any. I want to make sure I'm on screen. I apologize, guys. I didn't realize I was so far off the screen. All right, so I've got that, and I'm going to put some like right in here as well. And I'm going to put some along in here. There's like a flat area here. I have to reload these small brushes pretty often. And this is just because we've got some weathered. This is very weathered looking. And we're not doing it the whole way up or the whole way down. We're just doing portions of it. Okay. I'll go back with my number 6 here. I'm just going to make sure those are good and soft lines. They're not going to be anything too hard that looks like that they look like drawing lines. I don't want them to look like drawing lines. And then that will dry. Get this over here closer to me. All right, now I'm going to take these windows here. Their windows have glass in them, and they're going to reflect what they see. And so on most of this, you're going to see some sky, and then whatever's down below. So we're going to put in some sky color on the top of these, leaving in our white. And I'm just using a small detail brush, leaving in. Make sure you leave in your panes of glass, your panes for your glass. Excuse me. So Friday we took a trip. We had a 3.5 hour drive for me to go to my eye specialist, and all that turned out pretty good. And my son lives over close to that area, so we stayed the weekend. And I'm just going to put some of this color in that window so that we think it's going to pick up some of that sandy, beachy sandy color. And then some of our sky color as well. And if they mix, they can mix optically. I'm not going to blend them together. I'm just going to let them mix on their own. And I'm just going to put blue more or less up here. And I might add something darker up here later on. Okay. So we got that done. And it's going to be the same for these two windows. So just get yourself a tiny little small brush. But on this one, I think I'm going to wet it and draw these up here very straight. Use some darker Payne's gray. Just because of the way this sits, I want to start with the blue. And then we'll tap in some darker tones. And using a darker tone here will help you straighten up any imperfect lines that maybe when you drew your window on, it wasn't perfect. This is that brush I don't like so much. It doesn't ever give me a nice crisp line. It likes to separate. Gave me a little. Okay. The same here. Okay. We'll leave those for now. See if I can get this little area right here up. It's not going to come. It's not good paper. If that was good paper, we'd be able to work on it some. Let's see what y'all are saying here. To the right a few inches. This way. My other device is so slow to catch up with, which I was saying. Is that better? Okay, now I'm going to take and pick up some of my pinks. And we're going to put a glaze over this color. It's almost going to give us a peachy tone, a beachy peachy. Okay, we're going to do the same for the front. That's a pretty color. It's strange how this camera it is. It's I feel like I always have it set up right directly underneath of it, and it's always to one side or the other that I need to be. And we're just glazing here. I have a nice watery mix. It's going over. It's not opaque. I want this color to be translucent so I can see that yellow under it. And this is going to be a much lighter color than this side ultimately will be. Okay. I'm going to take some of this pink and I'm going to kind of dab some of it on a rooftop here. And it doesn't have to be perfect. And I want some of the turquoise color as well from the sky, because the sky is going to reflect onto our little tin roof. Just a light version of this. Right? And I'm going to let that blend in right here with a little bit of this pink. And it'll make a kind of almost a purpley tone. We'll just leave this top area here pretty light. All right. I really kind of think I'm going to go darker on these windows here. Let's see. I'm going to pick up some of my Payne's Gray. Take your time on the windows because you want to try to keep them nice and crisp and try to keep those paned areas in good shape. I'm not doing a good job on this one. I'm going all outside of the lines. I might have to go back with some gouache to get that up because this paper's not going to let me scrub on it. But it'll be all right. It will be fine. sometimes the more you work on something, the worse it gets. So sometimes it's just better to leave it alone. Especially when you know from the get-go that you're not working with the best materials. I was trying to straighten the lines out, but I don't think I did a great job. But it's okay. I can work more on that later. All right, I'm going to dry this. I'm going to take some of my pink. I'm going to make a pile of my pinks. And some of my Payne's Gray added to that. And this pink that I'm using is Opera Pink. It's a Daniel Smith color. And it's got a lot of water on my brush here. It's very much a fugitive color, so it's going to fade. Very translucent. I think I need to add a little bit more. There we go. There we are. Oh, that looks pretty weird right now, but it'll be fine. Good morning, Andrea. Good to have everybody here this morning. Hope y'all had a wonderful weekend. We had a travel weekend. We went to see our son. I had a doctor's appointment. I see a specialist 3.5 hours away. It all turned out great. That was all wonderful, but it's within about 40 minutes of where our son lives. And so we stayed and visited with them and our grandchildren and got back very late Saturday night. So, and yesterday was my teaching day for my seated class, but everybody was at the beach. And so I had the day off. So I had an opportunity to just sit and play for myself and for you guys because this is kind of what has resulted from my play in my sketchbook. That's what happens when you take a damp brush to an area that's not quite dry. You lift paint. Don't try to go in and keep fixing it because you'll really play havoc with it. Go ahead and let that dry. Okay. I'm going to mix up some turquoise. I have a pretty turquoise color. This is a turquoise by St. Petersburg White Knights. Okay, then I'm going to take and use some, what's this color? This is brown burnt umber. I'm going to use a smaller brush here. I've watered it down pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and start putting in some brown here. Making sure that everything up here is pretty good and dry. And there's some pilings down below. We'll go ahead and put these in. I'm going to go, there's one behind the steps here that I've put in, and I'm going to go right across the steps. And then I'm going to come down. And then I'm going to come across my steps here. Okay, let's dry that. Make sure all of this is dry. Thank you, Sherry. Appreciate that. Then we're going to make a bunch of sand. We need to put our water in as well. Y'all still see it okay? All right, I'm going to take, and you want to really make sure that's good and dry. I'm going to take a little piece of tape. I'm going to use washi tape because this paper is not the best paper, and I want to be careful with pulling this back. And then I'm just going to burnish that there. This will give me a little bit of a better area to work with there. All right, and then I'm going to take my number 6. This is a Princeton Neptune for those who are interested in that. And I think I'm going to use a ultramarine blue here on my horizon. And make sure you go right up to that house. I'm going to go under this line here and soften it some. And then I'm going to use phthalo. And then I'm going to just take and wet my brush. I'm going to put some of this right here. This is the turquoise color. And I'm going to pull back a little bit right here. Give ourselves a little bit of a wave in some of these areas. And you can also just take paper towel and lift some there as well. All right, I'm going to leave these to dry. I'm going to go ahead and pull my tape. Make sure that we've got a good clean edge here. I'm going to have to go back and clean that up a little bit. I'm going to use a smaller brush because I have a gap there. I'm going to go up underneath my house, my cottage, straighten up some of this water. had a water droplet fall off my brush. See what happens? You got to watch your brushes. Okay, leave that alone and let it dry. Thanks, Tanya. I'm just going to let this all dry. Clean off your tape here. I'm going to create some sand next, and we're going to cover this whole bottom edge of our painting here. Okay, I'm going to take my paper towel and I'm going to clean up some of this area here so that I can mix. I'm going to take some of my yellow ochre, and this is it's not really a yellow ochre. It's a yellow that's very close to sienna, raw sienna, made by St. Petersburg White Knights Paints. I'm going to take and add just a touch of crimson. You don't want a lot because it just gets it can get carried away. I'm just going to keep adding water here. And I'm just going to go ahead and put this down, and it will lighten considerably and go up underneath my. I'm going down off of my cliff areas here because these are just going to get color on them. They'll be all right. Keep going, keep going. Let me work my way up here. Not sure how much y'all can see this on camera with the light coming in my window and my studio lights on. Add some more. It doesn't have to be perfectly laid down because it's going to have so much other stuff going on. It'll be fine. All right, I'm going to go ahead and dry this. Okay. I'm going to pull out a card. If I can find what I did with it. I had one out earlier. Pull out some more paper towel. There it is. I see it. Let's see. I'm going to take some colors like ultramarine rose and I'm not sure what this color is. It's kind of a reddish purple. There's not much difference between the two, but then I want something like a really pretty quinacridone rose. It's more red with a pinkish hue. Okay, I'm going to just start working some of this in. I'm going to be real loose. I want to be real loose, just like we were in our other one. I'm going to take my card here, and I'm just going to, and I want all my grasses to kind of go in the same direction, starting in the middle here, and then I'm working my way on either side of it. I'm going to try to make another type of rounded hill here so that we've and we'll go with, I'm going to go with a dioxazine purple I'm going to use as well. I'm going to just pull this down into here. I'm going to pull some of this red here into that. And here, pulling up. My grasses are going that way. They're being blown by the wind. Try to keep them pretty contained within your area because this will get darker in a minute. I think I'll go right in here. And then I'm going to take my detail brush here, probably go with my smaller one. I'm going to use a really darker brown here. And I'm going to start putting in pull down and kind of around and do some negative painting, keep these grasses fresh. And then I'm going to pull out here. I do too. That was a good store, especially for florals and stuff. We didn't have one around here. I used to have to wait till I was in like the big city. I kind of think I want to all right, I'm going to kind of come up and just pull up in here with this color. With my, you can use sienna or yellow ochre, whichever one. I'm just going to pull it out there. I'm going to take just a bead of my water, pardon me, and then pull this out as much as I can. Okay. You can take your card and score in here if you want to. I'm just going straight up. And then I'm going to take my purple. I might put a touch of my brown in the purple to darken it some. One's just as strong as the other, and I want to kind of keep it dark under here. Up around these pilings, I'm going to pull up some paper. Being careful on this paper because of it's cheap paper. All right, let's see. Purple. Pull some of that over here. I think this is more of a violet color instead of dioxazine. I'm just going to soften that edge. Let's go into this other purple. I think we can get what we want done. I'm going to go into my purple on my White Nights paints and see if I can't I'm going to try to desaturate it a little bit. I'm going to add a little touch of yellow by desaturating it. Maybe this crimson or this raw sienna color. Yeah. And that will desaturate it. So this little walkway here. Reinforcing some of these. I want to be darker along the edges, and as it pulls out, it doesn't have to be as dark. I'm going to use my bigger brush now. I just want to be really loose and not stress over all the details. Loose with a purpose, though. I'm going to lighten this down as I come around this way. Red, my deeper red here. I'm going back into that. These are getting smaller as they're coming forward. Going back and reinforcing some of these. I'm going to go back into my darks and reinforce the dark underneath of my cottage, but be careful to go around some of these. I'm going back in here. Yeah, the colors are pretty good, aren't they? They are. They're fun. Um, it almost looks like there's fire in the colors, doesn't there? And this is dioxazine purple mixed with some of my raw sienna here, and it's just pretty much taken that intensity of the purple down quite a bit. I'm going to mix some more because I didn't mix enough. Such a pretty, pretty, pretty color. And your dioxazine is going to be very strong, so I'll pull this around some. Okay, I might come back to this in a little bit. Let's go over here to these areas. I'm going to use some of my yellow or my sienna. I'm going to mix it with some yellow, cad yellow deep or cad yellow medium. Either one would work. I'm going to start pulling up here and just lifting some color off of my corner, and then it'll start again coming in the direction that these other ones are. Okay, I'm going right over top of my waters here. I'm going to mix my red, and I'm going to kind of come into some of these areas here. And I'm going to kind of go in with some negative painting, go in between some of these with my red, so that we've got some vision of that's very, very, very. That turned out to be very red. The red kind of overtook this. I'm going to pull out some of these. Let's see if I can lift some of this. And then I'm going to go back with my yellow or my golden color. That's pretty. Let's see what we've got. All right, I'm going to let that be for a minute and see what we've got. All right. My darker brown color. I'm going to kind of come down. I'm just going to pull in some of these darker areas here. Okay, and there's another area right here. I'm actually going to try something. I'm going to pull up this way. Let's see. Pull. And I'm going to take the red. I'm going to let this dry a bit. All right, I'm going to take some of my Rose of Ultramarine, which is kind of a mixture of my red and purple, and start putting in some color along in here. Probably need a little bit of a more translucent color to that. And just let that be that. I'm just pulling it out a little bit. I'm going to adding just some marks in that to make it look like it's more rocky. All right. And quinacridone rose here, a little bit of that along in here to brighten some of this up some. Not much. These colors will spread easily too, so be careful. Now I'm going to go with my mixture of my dioxazine purple and yellow. You can use yellow ochre or the raw sienna. And I'm just going to pull in some of these. And this same color right back in here again. I'm still not loving that. We're going to do something more to make this look. Okay, we're going to leave that. And I want some of this water to kind of come up to the shore. So I'm going to pull that light turquoise color. Ooh, I got some darker blue on my brush. Let me get that off. And I'm just going to, while this is drying, and the sand is so light now, it doesn't even look like I've got anything on there, but we do. I'm going to take some of this mixture of my purple and sienna, and I'm going to start basing some shadow down here. Okay. Just some shadow. And it's going right over top of those other colors, so it doesn't even look like we've got a purple, but we'll add one more layer here. Okay. Now I need to put like a shadow here. Let's dry that first, though. I don't like this at all. I have to fix that somehow. I hope the man of the house is not driving. I'm not driving him crazy. All right, I'm going to take some Payne's Gray. If I can find Payne's Gray. I'm going to take some of that mixed purple. Okay, I'm going to start pulling some shadows out from my. And that needs some more work, but I'm just tapping water there to soften those shadows. But I need a really dark base there, but we're gonna work on that. All right, let's see if I can get maybe a brighter red. It's just so bright from the rest of it. again. Let's see. All right. I'm going to go straight into my dioxazine purple, and I'm going to kind of come around here. And I want a really dark base here. I don't. I'm just gonna pull some color here like this, and then pull out. There, that looks better. I feel like I could do something similar here, but I want to start working some on the water. And I feel like this yellow and orange are so bright that we need to mute it some. It's just so bright. I like that better. There. Better. All right, let's see. I'm going to start adding some gouache. And I really need clean water, but my water thing is all the way over on the other side of my studio. So this is where you would get up and change out your water. I'm going to fix this area right here very gently. And here. It really doesn't even show that much anymore. Okay. I'm going to tip my brush in there. And I'm going to start tapping some of this gouache through here. Make it look, we don't have to do much here, but just to make it look stand out more. I'm going to put some of this right through here, right up next to these rocks. All right, I'm going to add a little bit of, this is all off. Add just a touch of blue down in these areas here. It helps to break it up a little bit. especially in the lower areas. Okay. All right, shadows on our little cottage. Let's take our I'm going to take I really feel like that needs to be much, much darker. I'm going to all right, I'm going to take just under our window here and add a shadow. Just adding some shadowing around our windows and door. Maybe I'll do some right here. Maybe I'll make that brown instead. Make it look a little more rustic. Down here, my goodness, I can't seem to get this one as I want it. Okay, I'm just going to take my pink it's starting to come along a little bit. Just getting these details in and straightening up some of these lines. By the way, the tracer is already up in the group if y'all need it. I'm actually going to shadow this one back here a little bit by bringing some of this paint over top of it. It should be in the background anyways. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, let's put a little bit of shadowing on our little posts here. Our pylons. We're going to put them underneath of our deck. I might play around with this area here some more, but for the most part, I think it's not bad. Not loving this. You might choose to opt out of it, and that would be fine. Okay. I'm just taking my purple and my sienna and mixing some of that to go right here. I'm going to mix some more, go right in here. Just like that. Let's see if we can identify some of these a little bit better, and then we'll call this done. We're just going to identify it by putting in some, oops, we needed more purple. There, that's better. I'm just taking some of my purple, my darker purple mixture, and going in and doing a little bit of defining of the points of these grasses. I still want them to be loose, but you still need to go in when you're doing a loose painting and do some edges and touch-ups and sometimes based on what you like and what you think. Okay. I'm going to take this dark purple now and I'm just taking my purple over top of these browned areas, and it will help soften or define those edges some. All right, and you can do some more of this purple back here, but I'm just going to leave it alone. I think I'm going to call this one done. Next time, I'm just going to leave this one out. To me, it just doesn't do much for it. I wanted to do something in this corner so it wouldn't be so plain, but I just kind of get it I can't get it the way I want it. So I would leave it out if I were y'all. Oh, thanks, Teresa. Thank you, Sandy. It's a fun one. You can do much more with your white gouache as well. I'm gonna kind of splash that around. And my white's not so white because the water's so dirty. Mm. Okay, so you can do a lot with it. I'm gonna get that up. All right, thanks for joining me, guys. I hope y'all have a great week, and I'll see y'all on Thursday. You're welcome. Love to you all. Bye.